Hey everyone, welcome back to the Center Leader Podcast, where our goal is to help you live a life as a leader centered on Christ. And today I am joined with Shane, and this is our last episode of 2025.
Can you believe 2025 is already over?
It's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
I feel so old, you know?
There's a saying, or I don't know if it's a saying, but just the idea that the older you get, the quicker the years go.
Yeah.
I must be really old because this one felt like 10 minutes.
It's crazy. That means officially we've known each other for a year now, too.
I know.
Which is pretty cool.
It's been an awesome year for me. I hope it's been for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a great boss, great friend, and I've enjoyed this year.
Well,
so far.
God bringing you to Centerpoint has been a tremendous answer to prayer.
Yeah.
Just love your family, love you, our partnership in ministry, the impact that you have on our leaders and our church. I'm just so thankful that you're here.
Yeah, vice versa. Same with you. And we got to share some cool memories, too, in 2025, too. Your son winning a big basketball tournament. That was cool.
He won
to
2
watch.
state championships. That was awesome.
Yeah, getting to go and cheer that. Yeah. One of those games on. So, yeah, lots of cool memories, lots of cool moments in 2025. And so we're using this last episode of 2025 to recap. Number one, Merry Christmas. Hopefully you had a great Christmas. Hopefully you got everything that you wanted. What did you get on your Christmas list that you wanted?
Ooh.
Or what
do I want for Christmas? Or what did I? Well, I don't know. My wife sent me a video yesterday talking. It was a joke about how hard it is to get someone to tell you what they want. So I don't know if I even have, if I got it.
Yeah. Do you guys still get each other gifts?
Yeah, we get it. We get each other gifts.
Yeah. But, do you set like a limit?
I don't spend a lot of. I mean, I spend money.
Like, what
on
if she
stuff,
gets you 4 and you only get her 3?
No, we usually get. We usually do things together. Like we'll go on trips or stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So we take a lot of our gifts are towards experiences that we can have throughout the year.
Yes.
Because if we need something, we kind of just get it.
Yeah.
Because we don't get a lot of.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So most of our Christmas giving centers around the kids and grandkids.
Yes. Oh yeah. 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 The giving priorities have changed now, right? Yes.
I remember when I got married to Janelle, our first Christmas together, I was used to having big Christmases, just my brother and I realized half my presents were there. I got a thing of luggage. I did not want luggage for Christmas. You start getting these like
adult gifts.
Yeah. And then I realized Janelle took half my haul from my parents. So it was like, I knew things had changed at that moment.
Yes, that's when Christmas has changed, right?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you had a good Christmas, and we are on the cusp of 2026, which is crazy to think about. But we just want to take this episode to really kind of vision cast, and even for you as a leader to maybe just pause for a moment and think about 2025 in the rear view while also thinking about 2026 ahead. And a question that I wanted to ask you, Shane, because some people are different. Do you set goals for the future? Are you a New Year's resolution guy? Are you a goal setter? Are you what's your framework?
I'm not a huge New Year's resolution guy. I mean, there's certain objectives I want to, try and tackle.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge. Here's all the things I want to accomplish this year. I really just try and think, what are the practices that I want to make a part of my life. I just want to stay consistent with my relationship with God, because what I find is when I'm following him, when I get into his word, he begins to reveal things to me that if you were just to say, what's your goal? Half the time by the end of the year, it's not the same things I would have thought at the beginning of the year, because God's just either brought something new to my attention or led me in a completely different direction. And and I don't want to feel like a person who's like, well, I didn't get to do the goals I want to have, because all these other challenges came in. So, I try and kind of have some things I'd like to look forward to, but I kind of keep them open-handed.
Yes.
I don't want to become so frustrated that if I didn't get to accomplish all the things that I planned, but I don't want to just not also want to push myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I think for me, the sweet spot is making sure that I'm not trying to push myself, but that I'm trying to daily meet with Christ.
Yes.
Because I know he has a plan and a purpose for my life. And so I'd rather trying to seek Him on those things.
Yeah.
Not trying to sound too spiritual. Like that's just how I kind of
wired. And you use that analogy, which I absolutely love. Like, it's one of my favorite analogies, the open palm mentality. Like, Lord, whatever you want to put in my life, whatever you want to take out is yours. But once it gets weird, once we start saying, okay, God, this is what I'm going to do, and close fists.
Yeah.
I always remember one of my spiritual mentors. He's like, Kurt, never live a closed fist mentality, because it gets really uncomfortable and it gets really hard, because either, number one, God's going to open up that and take it out, even no matter what you want, because God's going to have His will and way. Yeah. But it's always easier.
Well, for me in ministry, a lot of my plans weren't necessarily about what I was trying to do for myself. It was about what I wanted to see in ministry. And to be honest, a lot of those things didn't happen the way that I thought. And I began to really struggle and feel like, am I failing?
Yeah.
Because, the results aren't always what determines success. Faithfulness is what determines success. And I thought, and so I really struggled with that, because a lot of my goals were about what I wanted to accomplish in ministry. And I just found that ministry's really, it's difficult, and you can't make things happen.
Yes.
You can't force things to happen. So that's where I really God's really worked on me about surrendering those things and trusting Him. So again, that gets back to why I'm a little bit on what some people might say on the lax side of just setting goals.
Yeah, no. And I know, like, there's actually people that are like totally for it. Like they have to have New Year's goals, resolutions every year. And if that's you, great.
Yeah.
And then there's also people that are totally against it. Like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't, like, why are you doing that? That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not against it, or I just think, whatever works best for you, I think that's what you need to do. And if you're someone who, really works well with goals and that is your personality, I would never say, why are you doing that? That's wrong. I think it's great for you to do that. But at the same time, I think we need to respect people who have it a little bit different as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want you guys as the listeners, and if you're watching this, really think and ponder back on 2025, even before looking at 2026, because that's always mine and Sarah's, my wife, our favorite moment is to just pause before the new year and look back at what all God has done. We tried this last year, didn't work out because the kids were acting crazy, just being honest, and that's how usually plans go when you have 2 toddlers. But something that we're going to probably try again this year is sit down and go through our camera roll together, because everybody takes pictures of everything nowadays. And if you sit down and that's pretty much your scrapbook, that's your digital scrapbook, and look through and you each pick what was your favorite moment or thing that happened each month, and you guys each come up with, you like do it individually and then come together collectively.
That's a good idea.
And so you kind of recap, and in that you recap what God has done and where you've grown spiritually and stuff of that nature. That's a question too I wanted to ask you, Shane, is how can you gauge spiritual growth? I don't want to say spiritual, not success. I mean, obviously it is success if you're spiritually growing, but there's a lot of weird connotations with that. But I'll say spiritual growth. How can you gauge somebody's spiritual growth? Because the Connect group leader watching this, the attender, the member at Centerpoint watching this, and they're pondering back on 2025. Have I grown spiritually? What are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves?
There's probably lots.
I know that's a broad.
Yeah, it's a lot. One of the things I think obviously is I look personally at my life. Am I seeing more fruit of the Spirit in my life?
Yeah.
Because, we're people, and I begin to feel, sense a lot more anxiety, which will lead to fear or frustration, or what kind of reactions do I have immediately to things? Is it, kind of blowing up in a sense, more of a defensive thing?
Yeah.
These are, I want to know, when things come into my life, what's my reaction to it?
Yeah.
Or am I sensing more peace, God's in control? So I think looking at my life and just realizing, because I know when I'm walking in the Spirit, when I'm not.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't need my wife always to remind me, although that helps. Yeah. But, I know when I get a response that's really from the flesh as opposed to the Spirit. And, so that's one of the ways that I look. Am I seeing spiritual growth? Am I seeing more fruit in my life?
Yeah.
I think another way is, am I stepping into more challenges? Am I just staying in my comfort zone?
Yeah.
You know, I don't, like Ian, we talked about plans. I don't have a lot of plans, but God, like I said, God tends to bring things to me.
Yeah.
And am I willing to step into them or not?
Yeah.
And that's those two things personally are ways I look and see if I'm growing spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing you always challenge the staff with too, when it comes to whenever we're examining scripture and stuff, is like, okay, what is scripture saying, and what is God saying to you? And even letting that be a reflection question for 2025. Hey, how have I seen God's faithfulness this year? How have I seen God work in my life? And if you can honestly say that you haven't seen God work in your life, then you're probably, I would boldly say this, you're just totally unaware of your surroundings and totally unaware of what God's doing in your life, because he's always working.
Yeah, he's always at work, and he's always speaking.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why it's really important that we spend time consistently in the Word. So, you know, when you talk about that's one of my goals. I want to consistently, daily spend time in the Word. I don't set a goal for how long, you know, it's just, I want to show up every day.
Yes.
Because I know he's there.
Yes.
And I want to hear from him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he'll be leading you, because he doesn't have any problem sharing or convicting or pointing out things that I need to be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. And so those are just some simple ways individually where you can reflect on 2025, and maybe even as a Connect group, you know, as you get into this next semester. You know, we're getting into the new year. Majority of you guys are on break right now as leaders and as Connect group attenders, but thinking about 2026, your group, maybe once you guys get all together, say, hey, here's our goals for 2026. This is how many new members we want to see come through our group in 2026. This is how many people that we would love to see launch out of our group in 2026. I think those are great goals to have and start identifying that. That was the first meeting that we had as a Connect group. It was actually second or third, because I didn't want to freak people out. Yeah. Okay. So second or third conversation, but I looked at everybody and I said, hey, this group, we will be together for a year and a half tops. I said, but my goal is to help you and equip you to lead others around you to do likewise, and to go and start your own Connect groups, because we have families moving in all over Prattville that don't know Jesus, that their marriages are in shambles, that their families are in shambles, that they have no hope in Christ, they have no hope for eternity, and we need to create spaces for them to grow and flourish, as we do as well in the community. And so vision cast with your group, I don't think that that's wrong to do, and to begin having those conversations. And like you said, it doesn't have to be specific. Like, you don't have to have like a bullet point list, we have to accomplish this, but the dream, plan, pray together. What could 2026 look like?
Yeah. Talk about it, because again, you might have a plan and think, oh, so-and-so, they're going to be the next leaders, and they might not be the next leaders. It might be another couple in the group that you didn't even realize that God was really stirring that in. I do think, though, that a good goal is saying, you know, over a year and a half, we should be identifying who are the people in our group that could be launched out. Because again, that's the best way to help your people grow.
Yes.
Is for them to become leaders themselves. And so, you know, as Connect group leaders, it's not just about, hey, can I keep my group meeting every week? We want our groups to meet and to enjoy it. But really, we want to say, who is God raising up through our meetings and through our times together, so that they can trust God to do something that they didn't think it was possible for them to do before they joined your group. Yeah,
absolutely. And even recapping your year as a Connect group, being like, man, you know, and as leaders, maybe you're talking with your co-leader, maybe you're talking with your spouse that helps you lead the group, whatever, but maybe you guys just recap and like, man, can't believe Sally prayed out loud for the first time this year. Like, celebrate those things. And then those, man, I can't believe, you know, and we talked about this a few episodes ago about a couple in our Connect group that they'd been praying for months that their house would sell. They'd already moved. They're still waiting on this house to sell, and that we got to celebrate that with them as a Connect group. And there's been countless times, even through the 7 months that our group's been meeting. There was another time we were praying for a family member's daughter. She had severe medical things happening. Didn't even know she's going to come home from the hospital. We prayed during that, and then celebrated when she did come home from the hospital. But recapping those, like you said, how have you seen God's faithfulness?
We talk about that all the time in our staff too, because, you know, just like your Connect group, every week it's going to come up. With church, every Sunday it comes up, or every Wednesday night, or whatever the program is. And we can be so focused on what we have to do for the next week that we miss the results of what we were working for.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take that for granted. I mean, you want to, because that helps you to trust God the next time you get into a challenge, when you see his faithfulness in the past. So we always make it a point to say, where did we see God at work this week? And so this is a good time to be able to just at the end of the year go, as a recap of the whole year, like you're saying, where do we see God at work?
Yeah.
And there's nothing too small to celebrate.
Yes.
Nothing too small to celebrate. I mean, it could be someone for the first time speaking up in a group or sharing their thoughts, someone praying. You had a serve day, and you had a lot of the group show up to do it. People started to ask you, hey, can we do this? They're starting to take initiative and things. I mean, all of these are great ways of being able to celebrate how God is at work in people's lives.
Yeah. And what you said, and I love that you just said that, nothing's too small to celebrate.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard this quote before, but what you celebrate, you duplicate. That is one of my favorite quotes. What you celebrate is what you duplicate. And as your group, once people say, oh, why are we celebrating this? Oh, because it's important.
Right.
Like you said, those things that are important, those spiritual growth, I guess, things that are measurable per se, right? When people actually start praying out loud, and when people start taking those steps, hey, can I read that passage? Hey, I'll read that passage.
Yeah.
And
And if we can get people taking small steps, we talk about spiritual momentum a lot with our staff. Just the fact that when someone for the first time takes what seems to be a small step, but it might be a huge step for them.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can over-challenge people to the point where they're like, well, there's no way I could do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where it's real important, again, to celebrate the small steps, because guess what? That leads to another step.
Yep.
And before you know it, they're many steps on in their relationship with God than where they were. And it's like anything else. When you start to see progress, you start taking bigger steps and more steps. So, encourage people on that.
Yes, absolutely. So in conclusion, I mean, really just think about the year end. And as we get to 2026, maybe you have a prayer with your group once you guys start meeting back, and maybe you have some specific things that you're just asking God for that year. I think that's good to vision cast and to plan and to give your group a picture of, hey, this is what could be. Never hesitate praying bold and big prayers. I think, and I'm guilty of that too. Like, I'll pray prayers sometimes that I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this wouldn't be too far, stretch for it to actually happen or God to actually do. And I think we're all guilty of that at times. But pray big prayers for your group this year.
Yeah, and even pray big prayers, but also have big discussions, because there's sometimes we go, oh, they won't want to do that, and then we're saying the no for them.
Yes.
Sometimes they might be a lot more willing to do things than you believe they are. So
yes.
Yeah.
That is and that may be something simple to you that you've said to me, but that is the biggest thing that you've taught me this year, Shane, is that whole concept and that whole framework of don't say no for somebody else. And I think that's so important for leaders. I think that's so important for Connect Group leaders. Do not say no for somebody else. Let them say no. And once again, not manipulating them, not forcing them, but have that conversation with them. Because there's often times where we won't even have a conversation with somebody because it's like, oh, Marty, she's going to say no anyways.
Right.
She just, I just know her. She just won't say yes to that. And then you're already blocking somebody of a blessing. You're already blocking somebody of obedience. And maybe they do say no, but let them say no. And it doesn't have to be a forceful conversation, whatever.
That's why we do relationships, because not every interaction is the end all be all.
Yes.
So if they say no this time, there's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah.
And God is at work, and you don't get frustrated. Just keep trusting that he's at work, and then give him a chance to say yes to something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we are praying for you in 2026 as leaders. We are almost there. You've made it. You've made another year. Can we just celebrate that? Congratulate that you guys have made it. And thank you for leading at the capacity that you do, and for loving people and walking alongside of people as you also do life together. Always want to remind you as leaders, you are not alone, and that you have a Connect group. Yes, you're leading a Connect group, but you are serving together as a Connect group. So, and as always, me and Shane are always available to you guys.
Because your ministry is vital to our church.
Yes.
Connect groups are not just a part of our troop. They're part of our church. They are the heart of our church. And so, there's so many things that people think happen. But if you were not being faithful in your role, our church would not be doing the things that God is working and doing in and through us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, Happy New Year's, and we will see you in 2026, right? We'll see you then. See you guys.